What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Chris Isaak. And once again, shout out to major friend of the channel, Michaela, who has sent me a number of things through the mail, which we've only just started to go through. Indeed, there's a couple other releases we haven't even broached yet. But like I said, I'm looking forward to going through Chris Isaak. It's an artist I've known for a long time, but mainly just through Wicked Game. And indeed, we're going to go back to the album Forever Blue. 1995. The first track that I reacted to from this album, it did get blocked, and so I had to put it on Patreon. If the same thing happens with this, I will put it on Patreon and make it publicly accessible. So that's basically what I've been doing with reactions that get blocked. You know, reactions that are meant to be up here, but you know, because of YouTube's algorithms, end up getting blocked, or in some cases blocked in 80% of the countries where people come from who follow my channel. In which case, yes, some people might see it, but a lot of people won't. So, as I said, if that happens again, that's where I will put it, and I will put a comment to that effect pinned in the comment section. So anyway, the second tune on the album is Somebody's Crying, which feels like it could be more specific, the idea of a particular person who, because of the actions of another, or maybe just an emotional feeling based upon an ended relationship or some dynamic in their own life, or it could be a comment about humanity at large, that someone somewhere is crying. There's enough hurt and pain and suffering in the world that there's never a moment where somebody's not crying. So it feels like it could be a larger statement, but ultimately, I noticed, the track listings are shown here, so it's 2:46, so I imagine it's not going to be a super elaborate story song. So in that regard, my assumption would be maybe more toward the latter, maybe more toward a general observation about humanity. Either way, let's find out. This is Chris Isaak. Is it Someone or Somebody? Somebody's Crying, from the 1995 album Forever Blue.
Somebody and they cry for you. They lie awake at night and dream of you. I bet you never even know they do, but somebody's crying. I know somebody and they called your name 1,000,000 times and still you never came. They go on loving you just the same. I know that somebody's trying. So please return the love you took from me. Oh please, you let me know if it can't be me. I know when somebody's lying. I know when somebody's lying.
Like a theremin or like a vocal synth or something in there.
I know that somebody's lying. I know that somebody's lying. Give me a sign and let me know we're through. If you don't love me like I love you, but if you cry at night the way I do, I know that somebody's lying. So please return the love you took from me. Oh please, let me know if it can't be me. I know when somebody's lying. I know when somebody's lying.
He really does have a singular voice. Hey, I feel like this is going to be really fun. Like, number one, his voice is really something, and ultimately it's interesting to hear him do that, like, flip into falsetto where he's sort of going straight tone, and then he just kind of flips it into that higher register in a tune, and now in a couple tunes that are very different from Wicked Game, the one tune I knew reasonably well going into this. So yeah, it feels like maybe his music styles are at the very least more diverse than I perhaps would have considered. Not that I, when I heard Wicked Game back in the day, just assume, oh, he must be one of those like romance kind of singers, lots of slow songs and ballads and that kind of thing. I didn't necessarily conclude that, but that tune, it's a very like heavy, emotional kind of track. And so to hear the first couple tunes here be more rocking, and this one, a bit lighter than the first one maybe, but more energetic. It's, a bit more up tempo. So this is not maybe what I would have expected to step into. So I'm happy to go through this album, and ultimately I do feel like I'm going to have fun with this deep dive. So shout out to Chris, shout out to Michaela once again for making this available. And yeah, when we come back to this the next time, it will be graduation day, which no matter what type of graduation we're talking about, no matter what context for this graduation, it feels like that's a significant event. So whether it's about the commemoration of, or everything that built up into that, or maybe things that happened after, it's a really interesting starting point for a tune. So I will look forward to that. And I'm back to interrupt myself to say that in the original ending of this video, I forgot to get back to the concept of the lyrics, which I did catch a lot of. So yeah, I feel like you could take the song in both directions. I feel like most fundamentally it's a specific story, and this other person has led to the narrator crying that they're missing this other person, and then the other person is seemingly telling him that it's not a big deal to them, they're not feeling the same way, they're not upset like he is, but he knows when someone's lying, and he thinks that the other person actually does feel the same way when they're by themselves, probably crying themselves to sleep at night. So he's convinced that they still should be in this connection because they feel the same way, but whether because of pride or because it's just a bridge like that's been burned, that the other person feels like they can't be reestablished. But yeah, it sounds like the narrator is sad and convinced that the other person, the woman, is sad, but at the same time the message she's telling him is that she's not. But again, he's saying, I know a lie when I hear one, and somebody's lying. So that's what it seemed to be about. But again, I feel like some of those lines, you could extrapolate them to a larger context of, their people. And indeed, that fascinating idea, like the way the first part hit me, is that like, we go through our lives, and sometimes there's someone that you really want to have a connection with, but for one reason or another, maybe just they don't see it the same way. It doesn't work out that way. And so you think about like your failures, or the relationships that never came to be, that you wondered about, like, could that be a thing or whatever. But maybe there's people that you meet and you interact with, and maybe you just don't get a feeling in that way, so you don't really think about it much, and you go about your day, and maybe you see them every so often, and they're kind and they're friendly, but you don't have any idea that maybe they're striving for that connection. Maybe they want that. Maybe they go to bed at night lamenting that it seems like they'll never make that connection because you don't see them in that way. And it's like, it's always, it feels like, thought about in the other way in a lot of songs. And so the idea of flipping it around, there's someone who's crying about you don't even know about it right now. Did you even? Now again, I think here he's saying it to this other person who's being distant or cold to him. But like I said, that was an interesting idea, that there may be some people out there who feel about you in a way that you're not even aware of, and do you even know the emotion that's spent over you? And it's a weird concept to think about, because if you don't feel that, maybe you don't recognize it, you don't see it, and maybe the way they feel when they're talking to you and so on, they're hoping it shows what they like, or what they want rather. But to you, they're just being friendly and polite, and okay, I'll see you next time, and it doesn't register, and so it's like, they're slowly dying inside. So it was an interesting way it started. Like I said, it came to seem much more specific, but I do think you could extrapolate it larger. So glad that I came back and remembered that, because it's kind of thing where in many cases, you know, I either forget to talk about the sonics or I forget to talk about the lyrics. And then I post the video, and someone will mention, oh, you know, you didn't mention the sonics, but I think this is important. It's like, oh, like I meant to say that, like damn it. So happy to remember in this case before I went to process the video. Let me know what you think. Shout out to Michaela again. I will see you next time. Peace.